What is a distraction? What is keeping you complacent? What is silencing your inner critic, your inner voice, and your inner thoughts? What is something today or that you do that is allowing yourself to stay stagnant, to stay in repetitive cycles, and to keep yourself from growing properly, from nurturing healthy habits, from nurturing positive growth, and from nurturing a better mindset about yourself and about life? What's stopping you from taking action? What's allowing you to be termed as lazy or unmotivated or labeled with no direction from others? It could be anything. In fact, in this day and age, it's the very thing you look at right now, your phone. It could be a distraction. They say that the average person spends 4 to 8 hours a day, a screen time a day on their phone or off the screen. Now, that's like a full-time job. That's so much time that we invest, that we spend, that can go to other things that actually are important. Not to say that you don't deserve relaxing time, that you don't deserve to just ease and wind down, but don't you have that time all the time? Don't you do that so often that that's all you're accustomed to? That's all you have grown into? That's a habit that you taught yourself to do, that now has just become a pattern. Now it's just become a lifestyle. It's like when they relate the gym life to being like, oh, it's not, I forget, but it's like, it's not gym day, it's gym life or something like that. I know I'm very cutting that. But yeah. What habits are you instilling, making your lifestyle? What habits are you doing that are allowing you to stay distracted, that are allowing you to be stuck where you are right now? And you may not be, but I'm here to bring awareness that it's not just your phone that is the distraction. It could be anything. It could be a vice. And a vice is a distraction. A vice is something to cope with. You're coping with your reality by distracting yourself for 4 to 8 hours a day on your phone. Because there's nothing more attention grabbing or euphoric, what's that word, that gives you quick dopamine, because that gives you quick dopamine, quick happiness. And we look for that in many things. It could be alcohol or drugs. It could be screen time on the phone. It could be anime. It could be anything. But if it doesn't give you positive growth, or if it doesn't put you onto the right path, or if it leads you into regretting your decisions or actions later because of something that you decided to do and feel like you have no control over it, well, then that is a distraction, that is a vice, and that is something that is stopping you from growing, that is keeping you complacent, and is making sure that you don't change. These are things in life that that society, I don't want to say the world, but that society has made you into, that is put onto you so that you don't grow. The point of everything that we have here in this life, that is screen time, the phone, or drugs, or alcohol, or food, or anything that you overindulge in, it's all meant to lead you astray. It's all meant to make sure that you stop growing, that you stop realizing it, that you stay asleep, that you don't wake up, that you don't understand what is happening to you and what you're doing on a daily basis. I would say for those of you that are constantly online, 4 to 8 hours is nothing. Some people are online 24 hours a day. Some people play video games for like 12 hours a day, making sure they go to bed at 3 a.m. every single night, just because they want to play, or just because they decide to distract themselves, just because they're unhappy with their current reality in life. And if they didn't distract themselves, then what would they spend that time doing? What would you be spending that time doing? If you decide to do something else, I'm not going to be your parent to tell you to go to school or to do something that will be positive and give you a degree or something. But what else could you be doing? Like, for instance, I want to learn a new language. And what do I do all day? I spend 4 to 8 hours on TikTok. How does that make sense? I would never reach that goal. I would never be able to learn a new language. if I don't make time for it, if I don't give myself the proper nourishment to grow in that field that I want to do, that subject that I want to learn. There is no point to watching videos all day. There is no point to playing video games all day. The only reason why we do these things is because there is nothing else to do. And why is there nothing else to do? Because there's nothing else that you want to do. When you start to change your mindset and understand that you choose what you want to do, no matter what, then you'll start finding enjoyment in the mundane things, the mundane tasks. How is it that some people can assemble Gundam, that figurine, and spend hours doing that and never get bored, when it's, for me, incredibly mundane? That is so tedious and boring to me. But how can people do that? It's because they've allowed and trained their mind to grow in that aspect of silence, of just tinkering, of doing that subject, that topic, that thing, that hobby, that task, that activity. The reason why is because they choose to do that. They choose to take time to do that, and in turn, they start to love it. Same thing with like exercising. You know, you're going to be in pain the first couple of days, maybe even the first year, but if you keep doing it, you're going to learn to love it. Not only because you're going to see results, but because it'll become a habit, become a lifestyle, become something that you enjoy doing because you just enjoy it. And you're training your mind, reconnecting new pathways to habits that actually better you, that actually give you growth, that actually give you better understanding of yourself and the world around you. It's the world that we live in and the world that you live in. Everything is a choice. Whether you go to the market, you're going to see every single thing in that market is a distraction. It is meant to tempt you. It is meant to mislead you, and is meant to stagger you, meant to stop you from being better, from growing, and from changing into a better person. Let's say I go to the grocery store. I need to get chicken. How many times have you gone to get one specific item or a set list of items and you leave with the full cart? It's not because you didn't have better discipline. It's because the world is meant to distract you. It is meant to mislead you and meant to stop you from making the right decisions. Now you have the power to change that by instilling discipline, by creating a habit or repetition of healthy habits and healthy choices and behaviors that allow you to take back control in which the world is taken away from you. I can go to the store right now, or I have gone to the store before. This is why I keep bringing it up. And I had like $300 to go, right? And I was like, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that, I'm going to go splurge, I'm going to get some snacks, ba-da-da-da. But when I got there, I noticed that nothing that they were trying to sell me, I wanted. And it's not because I didn't want the sweets or snacks or salty things. It's just because I knew better. From months of restabilizing my habits and restabilizing my mental and restructuring it to where I don't even want these things anymore, because this doesn't bring me happiness. It doesn't bring me joy. It doesn't bring me contentment. It doesn't bring me any type of inkling of want, of desire, of lust for other things. So I went through the store. I went through like the whole store for probably about an hour, and I deliberately tried to look for things to distract me or to give me quick dopamine. And nothing on that shelf, nothing on those shelves tempted me at all. Now, why was that? Because I decided to take back the power that was taken away from me from the world. Take back the decision making for myself and give back to myself in a more positive and healthy way. That doesn't have to be the same for you, but if you just start noticing what the world is doing for you and to you, you understand, or you start to understand, how bad it is in this world, especially in the West. I don't know where it is that you're watching this video from, but there is so many distractions in the West. It could be from games, food, events, ads specifically, TV, everything that you ingest, whether it's mental or physical, is trying to lead you astray, is trying to change your mindset. A great example is all of the romance movies or the genre of romance. How many of those, probably all, if not all, how many of those romance movies or the genre of romance is the protagonist or the main character an unhealthy person doing unhealthy and toxic things in the idea of love to make it okay because, oh, it's in love. They came over to my house at 3 a.m. because it was in love. They over prioritized me over them because it was out of love. That's bad patterns and unhealthy. There are many times where we are being crowd mentality or crowded like sheep in order to think the same things, in order to say the same things, in order to repeat the same things. In anime, for perfect example, every single show, or basically every single show, over-exaggerates women, over-exaggerates the lustful behavior, where there's literal still shots of thighs and more provocative scenes, shots of the body, where they literally have you looking at something unintentionally for like 3 seconds. And what does that do to your mental state? What kind of decisions would you be making if you continue to watch that kind of stuff? What does that do for your mindset? Does what you're watching lead you onto the right path, or does it lead you astray and turn you into a more deeper path, like pornography? Because you're watching all this sexual content all the time, where do you think that's going to lead? Or you're watching all these crime shows where it comes into violence, and all of a sudden you succumb to violence and you're jaded. You're uninhibited, you're unempathetic. You're closed off and emotionally unavailable. Or you watch all these love romance things and you learn that being toxic and unhealthy is positive and good because it's in love. I forget exactly how this video started, but I know I'm talking about the same thing, which is your mindset and your decision making and your power to bring back to yourself. And in a way, it's hard. Like I said, this world, the society that we live in, and life in general is made at every turn and corner to make you backpedal, to make you stop growing, to stop noticing things, and to sleep, to stay asleep. Everything we do is a distraction, which is what everything we do is a distraction which stops us from understanding our reality and changing it. If you smoke weed every day, what are you doing? Yes, you might be doing other things that are enjoyable, but what are you doing to your body? You're telling them that your natural state, or the state that you were born with when you came into this world, is unhappy, or it is not right. Some people smoke every single day, and what does that tell your body? That being sober is not good, or that being under the influence is better. Now, that could be for any substance, but the reason that you're having all these distractions and choosing to be something that is asleep, or someone that is asleep, is because you were never shown how to wake up. When you wake up, you'll notice that the world is much different than how you originally viewed it. Not because it is different, but because it never was what you once perceived it as. It was never meant to be fun, never meant to be luxurious, never meant to be abundant. That's not meaning that you are not those things, but the world is meant to tear you down. at every angle, mentally, physically, emotionally. Even workplace environments, if you think about it, workplace environments, they change your mentality. Why? Because you have to answer to somebody. Now, you give power away to others, and I understand that everyone needs to work, but it's your mentality about work itself. You bend over backwards for environments that will never second guess when you leave. And if they do, then you are good enough in their eyes to be of value when you already had value, when you already had everything that you needed before getting into that job. And what? Because there's more money, their opinion is better than your own. Everything is a distraction. It's time. I'm just being funny now. It is time to be more aware of your environment and how your environment is changing your mentality, is distracting you and keeping you complacent. Everyone wants to be a millionaire, but how many of us actually choose to do that? Not because it's hard, everything in life is hard, but because they decide to distract themselves. They decide to take power away from themselves and keep themselves in a low vibration, which isn't you. You, I know for a fact, are trying to be better, or at least becoming more aware of the environment that has conditioned you to think and feel and say and do what you already do, what you already know, what you already think. Start small. That's what I tell you. In order for you to notice anything, you must be present. And in order to be present, your mind must be clear. So what do you do first? You don't meditate. I would tell you that you won't meditate because meditation isn't meant for meditation. The reason people meditate is, or the goal of meditation is to be still and silent and present in the moment, to have no thoughts other than what is happening right now. And you don't need to meditate to achieve that goal. It could be anything. It could be 10 minutes of silence, of being outside. It could be going on a walk with no headphones and just doing nothing. It could be going to the store, driving in silence. That is bringing back stillness to yourself. And meditation is not the only option that you have in order to retain that and to keep yourself in the present moment, to give power back to yourself and the power of thought that you have. The best thing about humanity and about people is you have power of thought. Nothing can change you if you don't allow it. And when you start to understand that you have the power, then society becomes weak. Not society as like a whole, but the mentality that it puts onto you becomes weaker. When you go into a store, let's say for that example that I gave you, and you go through the junk food aisle, and you notice that you, as hard as you try, nothing gravitates to you, or nothing pulls you in, nothing satisfies your taste buds anymore. It's not because you're doing something wrong, it's because you're doing everything right. You're changing the way you think of the world and the way the world is conditioning to you for you to be. There's a certain way that all the stores work. They lead you through usually the vegetable aisle. But what do they do in the middle? Everything healthy or good for you is on the outskirts of the store. In the middle of the entire middle aisles is nothing but junk food, snacks, things that stop you from making better choices. And why? Why is it like that? You think it's just random that they decided to put these things in certain places? You think it's random that all the junk food is in the middle aisle? That all of the snacks are by the register? Quick things to get a quick dopamine, that get you quick results, that tempt you and lead you straight from the path that you're trying to create for yourself. And that's just with food. Like I said, everything is a distraction. You think it's just a coincidence that there's an app store that it promotes games over other things like healthy apps. Maybe, for example, I don't want to get demonetized, but like Zen Garden or coloring books or just anything that brings back presence and self-awareness and self-thought to yourself. Where it distracts you and puts you into 3D games, where you lose hours of time and you put your own priorities on a back burner, and you may not even take a shower of the day because you're so invested in the dopamine. Or what about anime or shows? You think it's just a coincidence that they show you these toxic behaviors and society deems it okay? You think it's just a coincidence? I don't really know how to end this video, but I hope that you are awake in this moment, or that you become more aware of your surroundings and how the world is trying to influence you. Even better, did you know chairs were not meant for you to have a proper stance and seating posture? If you go to any chair, it will make you, if you decide to actually fully sit in the chair, you will have to lean back and like this. See yourself. Shrug your shoulders in. Everything has a reason. If there was a reason for it to be mainstreamed, then it might not be good for you. I'm not saying to quit all the things that you enjoy, but I'm saying for you to bring more awareness to the things that you do, the habits that you do on a daily basis, and the things that you intake. Why do you like soda more than you like water? Because it tastes better. Yeah, because of the suds. Or junk food, why is it so cheap? Probably because it's not good for you. But yet, vegetables are 3 times expensive as a regular meal that you get at a fast food joint. A vegetable. Like I said, it's not to change your mindset, just to bring awareness of the things that the world is trying to give to you. That is trying to feed into your mind, your eyes, and your mouth. My name is Augustin, and this is just for clarity. Thank you for being here.